You know who you are. You're the unfuckable mama. You have clear energy, you know exactly who you are and what you stand for, and you know why you're here, and you keep showing up. You keep trying. You do the goddamn thing. You get out of bed and you show up your best even when it never makes sense.
Hi, I'm Kiki, and if you haven't met me before, if you're new to my work, I have an Instagram page that is under my same handle, Kiki McGrath XO, and I also have a podcast called The Mama Load. And I think there's like 50 something episodes on The Mama Load at the moment, 53. Stop touching things. I cannot stop touching things. And I talk about all things motherhood and how to shift out the shit. Like, truthfully, like how to actually shift it out and to bring in new, good, exciting, fun, better feelings. And on my stories today, I was unpacking the thought. I did it in a reel and I did it in some stories, and I actually talked about it yesterday on the podcast as well, is that your energy field is the only thing you need to protect. And once you learn how to protect your own energy field and make sure there's no gaps and there's no holes, you can have some holes, but once you've learned to protect that at all costs, you realize like nothing really upsets you anymore. Like even really major life events. I know that when I had really started to work on this, and my youngest had a very near drowning accident, super distressing, super scary, but it didn't rock me for months and months and years and years. It kind of grounded me more in my own energy, because during the experience of going in an ambulance with him for the first time and having to advocate for him and I with what I knew best for him and what I could physically feel inside of his body, it was easy. It was very, very simple, and I was able to do that under great duress. Now, because I had already pieced together so many parts of my life to become unfuckable with, so there wasn't many things that were already, I wasn't coming from a depleted and empty energetic space. I was coming from a woman who was already completely empowered and strong. So I wanted to talk to you about things that can suck your energy out and what to do about them, because it's really super important. And I'm actually doing this in one of my courses at the moment. It'll be much deeper dive than this, but like the way I explained it in the podcast, and I actually can visually see it this way, so you can try visually seeing yourself as this, is that you have like a shield around you, and all the things that trigger you, because that's people's favorite word, trigger, all the things that upset you or send you in a spiral, all of those things are leaks. And those leaks are your stressors, your traumas, your things that you're unwilling to plug up and that you just keep leaking out. And social media can be, I would say, is probably one of the biggest leaks for most mamas. I have women that I have worked with who have come to me who are spending upwards, anywhere from 5 to 9 hours a day on their phone, and mostly on social media, and mostly not really communicating a lot. There's not a lot of engagement in that time. It might be like some funny tags to friends and stuff, but it's really just the consuming. And you cannot protect your energy in that way, especially as a mother, if you are consuming many of the parenting style pages. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what I've seen and kind of what they do to me. And I'm someone who is pretty unshakable in her parenting choices. I don't really seek outside support. I've worked for so many different parenting and teaching type institutions that I don't seek outside information anymore, because most of it isn't even based on anything. It's really just on what the person thinks at that time. And so when we consume these parenting style pages on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, like Facebook groups, I was in a couple, and I really do have to remove myself very quickly, because a lot of people will say, like, because I am in the parenting space, like, if you want to grow your audience, go into the parenting groups on Facebook. But so swiftly, I did have to remove myself, because I feel like there's a cheer squad for fuckery. There's a cheer squad for, like, we're just going to fuck them up anyway, and it's just really hard, and it's just really awful, and we're just going to stick with that narrative. There's not a lot of like, hey, everything is fixable, your kids are not broken, you are not broken, we can easily sort this out, and we can sort it out in quite short time frames with some level of commitment. There's not a lot there. And if it is coming from some kind of parenting expert, it's quite a structured process. So it's like, here's your 27 steps of what you need to do, and this will fix it. And it's quite a stressful process. It's a very non-fluid feeling. And so when women work with me, I know that I feel fluid. I know that I can like be riding the wave with them and help them along the wave without having to give like 27-step instructions. Yeah, when things are really chaotic, we can need to change quite a lot in a short time frame. But that's usually because the mother already knows that she's absent-mindedly left so many things until now that she kind of has to fix a lot of shit at once. And Facebook groups, I don't think you need a cheer squad to know that it's parenting has its challenges and that mothering has its challenges. And I don't think you need to know that like everyone else is having the same problem too, because you could go into a Facebook group of 20,000 mums and go, hey, I'm really struggling with toileting, or I'm really struggling with my teens, and everyone will cheer you on. But if you go into that Facebook group and you go, hey, I toilet trained my kid in 2 days and it was so simple and easy, or if I went and said my teenagers are my best friends and I couldn't imagine them ever being difficult, you would get slammed. And so then if we look at like what that Facebook group style of people feed into something like Instagram, where you have maybe people directing what you actually should do in your parenting space, like how you should feed. I mean, there's pages on how to feed your kid, and there's pages on, just like there's a massive page just like on toddlers. And whilst some of the instructions are helpful, I'll tell you why they never stick. They never stick because they're not yours. They're someone else's. They're someone else's words. They're someone else's feelings. They're someone else's vibration. And so I don't know if have you ever tried to copy someone else? Because essentially that's what you're trying to do when you take someone else's parenting advice that is, let's say, science-based or education-based. If you try and take that information and you apply it to yourself, it's like trying to memorize someone's test paper. It's pretty much impossible. Some people can do it. And you know, I was thinking about even with toilet training, if there's a process that you're called to, if there's a belief system that you're like called to and it's singing, and you're like, oh, that mum friend that I really love and I love the way she does things, she does it and follows that process, that's what I'm going to do. That's it. And you can apply that. So when I followed a specific way of sleeping, and my kids sleep really well and really easily, and I had followed a process from someone that I ended up working for and things like that, and literally every single one of my friends went and did that as well. All of them, because because they were like, oh, look, that looks fluid and easy and good to her. And this was before there was so much infographic type information on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. And so everyone just followed suit, because I was like that, like the social media page where everything looked good and it was all working well. And I think that works really, really well in life. I actually think for some of my friends, it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't the right system for them, and they tried to apply it and it didn't really work because it wasn't the right system for them. And that's okay, because I feel like experimenting on what your peer group has done really does bring you back to similar work ethics, because you're all going to be in the same socioeconomic group, okay? Doesn't mean you're going to uprise from that, but it does mean that you're going to get a set of foundational parenting skills that are going to be pretty similar to you. Whereas now, I don't think I'm going to be giving the same parenting skills. I mean, a lot of women that come to me work for themselves. They don't have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. A lot of mamas want more flexible lifestyles. They want to travel and go away and do all these things, but they need to understand that the flexibility comes with that. And so when we try and take these specific non-needs meetings, so when I follow a page about toddlers and they're talking about, hey, this is how you redirect them at the supermarket, I'm like, most toddlers are fine at the supermarket unless they're hungry. And so like an adult, if you're hungry at the supermarket, what do? You buy a shit that you like. And it's the same thing, I'm realizing over time, a lot of the time I just took my kids to the supermarket at the wrong time, or I just wasn't thoughtful enough with it. I don't need a prescription sentence. I need some internal peace and the right timing. So most of it isn't as complicated as what we think it is, and what it actually is triggering us inside, it's upsetting us. And most of the time you wouldn't even realize. I was talking to a friend one day about a first aid page that I found. I think I had seen it before, and then it came up before. It's a very big page. It's a super popular page, and I scrolled, I think it came up in a reel, and I scrolled through a couple, and one was about grapes, and my toddler was downstairs eating grapes on his own. And I thought about how I had worked with children for I actually knew about cutting grapes in half, but not until I had finished working with kids. So 15 years I had fed grapes whole to kids. And I was I couldn't follow this page because everything is a problem. She's literally giving the examples of every single aspect of my life, toddlers in pools, things that kids eat, how to fix, any kind of dangerous thing possible. And when I watched the lady who ran the page, I was she radiates anxiety, she radiates stress and fear, out of her every cell. And if I was inputting that data every single day, I would really probably make myself sick. I think I would be unable to function like a normal mother. I don't think we are supposed to see that much information on that many topics in any go. I don't even know how many first aid classes, but I've done a lot, and I still would never have come, even in the people who are actually on the field doing those things, are not traumatizing you like that. And it's not a healthy space to be in. It's not helpful. I don't believe you're saving your kids' lives by consuming that information. And I was talking to a friend about it. Actually, that's how I started here. And I was like, I literally don't know how people can consume that information because it would send me insane. And she was like, yeah, like once I'm there, I'm just like, I'm gone, like just looking at it all and worrying about it all and like stopping all these foods and all these things. And I was like, we can't really live like that. That's not healthy because you're like inputting someone else's fears into you. You should never be inputting someone else's fears because you have plenty of fears of your own. And so you're just creating more leaks and more holes in your energy field by inputting someone else's fears. And so if I could tell you anything right now, I'm not going to tell you to go remove yourself from everything because I feel like that's a journey and an evolution of your own. I actually only know because I was like, I need to go like some of these pages again and see if they're like putting out any relevant content. Like, is it really that helpful? Would it really shift things for mothers as much as they think they would? And honestly, like I had to go and mute most of them. I don't think it's actually going to make any difference. And so the information is coming into you without your actual consent. And you can't stop it. So the things that I would say is to go through, I don't think I'm really in any Facebook groups unless they're like business friends or things like that, just like in terms of a supportive role. Remove yourself from the Facebook groups or mute them. And then if you've muted them for a while, then you know that you can remove yourself from them. Instagram, same thing. Mute them or remove them. The other thing to remember is that like I have some people I love on Instagram, but I don't want to follow them all the time because for some reason, even people who make me jealous, I just don't follow them all the time because it just doesn't feel great to me. But then if I think of that person, I'll go and search them and look at their content that they've put up recently and enjoy that. But I don't, like vast majority of people, I don't want to consume their content all the time. I don't want anything that rocks my boat. And so if it's rocking your boat, and a lot of the time with that quick kind of scrolling, you're not even realizing that it's rocking your boat. You know, if my content was rocking your boat, I would like beg you to move on. And I've had loads of friends who are just like, it's just not for me. And that's cool. We need to do what protects us from anything fucking with our energy, anything fucking with our mind. And there is too much content for mamas out there at the moment. And so this is your job. You must protect your energy. It is your source. It is your light. It is your being. We can do this. Love you.
Hey mama, I hope you enjoyed listening, and if you did, I would love for you to share where you were listening, how you were listening, or even something you learned about on your Instagram stories, or even just come flick me a DM in the gram. The more we get the message out that us mothers can show up in any ways that we desire and that we feel called to, the more other mothers know that they can do that too. So let's be the inspirers and the dreamers and the doers.